Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Rose Writes and I write and narrate Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction. Thank you to Zugibug for allowing me to use their incredible artwork in my thumbnail. Check out their artwork linked below. Also, huge shout out to my very good friend SailorGuardianHope for voicing Ladybug in Thunderstorms for Ladynoir July. We also did a collab on her channel about French magical girls, and I talked about Miraculous, of course, so it'd mean a lot if you would go check her out and follow all of her socials linked below. She is amazing and deserves all the love. Without further ado, please enjoy Thunderstorms. Ladybug scanned the hazy Paris horizon, squinting, attempting to shield her eyes from the raindrops that clouded her vision.
Cat Noir is a little late to patrol sometimes, sure, but he never just doesn't show up.
Ladybug muttered, whipping out her bug phone, feeling a pit in her stomach. No missed calls. No messages. Nothing. Weird, and very unlike Cat. The spotted heroine's pigtails had become unraveled under the weight of the water. Not even her magical ribbons could protect against it. Looking like something that had just crawled out of the shower drain, Ladybug zipped through the sky, searching for where Cat might have wandered off to. She searched high and low, literally, from gaining an eagle's perspective at the top of the Eiffel Tower to prowling the streets. The bakery, the vintage arcade, and even their favorite coffee shop. No sign of Cat, and no one had even seen him. She tried not to worry, but he wouldn't leave the city without telling her. He was prone to being MIA, but even still, he should at least call or text, or show up to patrol in the first place. Ladybug sighed as the rain started pouring even harder, the occasional lightning flash obscuring her vision.
Where are you, stupid cat?
Ladybug grumbled. What if something happened to him? No, she shouldn't worry. He probably fell down the rabbit hole of gross pimple-popping videos on YouTube, losing track of time. Again. In a few strategic swings of her yo-yo, Ladybug hung upside down on his fire escape. She found the window of his studio apartment cracked open. A year ago, they had been hesitant to give out their addresses, but thought it best in the circumstances of extreme emergencies, and went there in those cases. The furnishings were vague enough so as not to give away their true identities, though neither would probably protest much at this point. They were best friends and occasionally broke their emergencies-only rule to have Disney karaoke nights, or Marvel marathons, of course, as their superhero alter egos only. Ladybug slipped her thin hands underneath the crack, pushing past the foreboding, luxurious curtains. She didn't know a lot about him besides his Cat Noir persona, but she did know he came from a rich background. If someone walked into his flat, it looked quite ordinary. Like a 20-something-year-old man-child, but these curtains? Just from touching them, she knew she couldn't even afford them from one round of her Etsy commissions. She stepped through the window, taking in the bedroom, searching for any sign of her partner.
Cat? Cat Noir!
Ladybug sang as she walked a few feet, stopping at the bed, noticing a Cat Noir-sized lump, wrapped in a red and black spotted blanket, with a chibi version of her face on it.
How, flattering.
The blanket trembled with Cat's shallow breathing, unaware that his partner stood less than a meter away from him, when a brilliant idea struck Ladybug. Like clockwork, Ladybug shrieked.
Boo!
As a crack of thunder echoed, lightning flashing across the sky, lighting up the darkened room. Ah! He screamed, a sound seeming to come from the very pits of his soul. He backed up against the wall, the blanket uncovering himself, his face wider than a ghost. It took him several seconds to process who scared him. It wasn't a monster, or a ghost, or even an akumatized villain. But instead, it was his typically unfunny partner in crime playing a prank. His chest rose and fell rapidly as he took in her frozen demeanor and her wry smile. He rubbed his eyes. "LB?" he uttered in disbelief, eyeing her guilty face, which matched the shade of her suit. "I thought you didn't do comedy," he said through gasping breaths. Ladybug sat beside him, patting his back in slow circles.
I've always got time to torment you, my kitty.
She giggled.
But I was just teasing. Did I actually scare you that badly?
"If I tell you, you'll make fun of me," Cat said, pouting a bit, turning away from Ladybug, pulling the fleecy blanket up around his chin. Ladybug tilted her head to the side curiously with so many questions running through her mind. Like, why was he at home still as Cat Noir? Why was he sitting alone in the dark, without so much as a candle lit? She bought him some passion fruit ones because they were his favorite. She rummaged through his bedside table for a candle and a lighter while he was still huddled under the blanket with her face staring back at her. She lit a candle, placing them on the bedside table, the flame flickering around the walls of his bare bedroom.
I promise I'll only make fun of you a little bit.
She giggled, continuing to tease him as she took her spot beside him. Before he could respond, thunder erupted, followed by a flash of lightning that spread through the sliver of daylight that remained. Cat let out a piercing yelp as he flew under his bed.
Cat? What are you doing?
Ladybug asked as she looked after him, trying to pull at his tail. "I'm afraid of thunderstorms, okay?"
Stop being such a scaredy cat.
She laughed dismissively.
Just come out and we'll...
She struggled to grab at his paws that were dug deep into the carpeted flooring. "No, Ladybug, you promised! You promised you wouldn't laugh!" He exhaled deeply. Ladybug still looked upside down at him, only seeing the glowing of his green eyes.
Let me make it up to you. Do you still have a functioning kitchen?
She said sincerely. He let out a breathless chuckle as he wiggled his way out from under the bed to sit on the floor in front of it, the blanket still wrapped around him. "Last time I checked, yeah, but you know I don't cook, m'lady. I've never had to before. Uber Eats is my best friend," he said, a guilty expression crossing his face.
Okay, rich boy.
Ladybug rolled her baby blues with a wave of her hand. She rummaged through his cabinets, empty as expected, except for some ramen cups and some packs of cocoa she had brought for their frequent movie nights.
How did he keep his model-like physique while eating this junk?
She thought absently to herself.
Right, he probably had healthy food delivered right to his door. Oh well, everyone has to start somewhere.
She shrugged, then hummed a waltz, stirring the pot in slow, rhythmic circles, consumed with her thoughts. After a few moments of making her famous cocoa, topped with a bit of cinnamon, she bounced into the same gloomy atmosphere, singing,
Ta-da!
attempting to lift Cat's spirits. He barely looked at Ladybug as she handed him the steaming cup. "Thanks," he whispered, taking a small sip. Ladybug glanced around the room for a topic of conversation, taking in the dampening silence.
Hey, come on.
She gestured towards the window. The storm outside was barely a drizzle now. Surely it would be okay. I don't know, LB. He hesitated. She reached out for him to hold his hand tenderly.
Come with me, please.
He said nothing, looking at his gloved hands.
You don't have to if you don't want to. I'm sorry I laughed at you before. That was stupid.
It's fine. I know you didn't mean it. Can I tell you a secret? Cat Noir asked quietly as he ambled over to the open window, pushing open the curtains. Ladybug ducked underneath the window to join him on the fire escape. The streets of Paris eerily quiet. except for the faint sound of rain around us.
Sure, Cat. I'm great with secrets.
I'm great in a crisis. Ladybug rolled her eyes.
Cat, that's not a...
Hold on, I'm not done. I'm great in a crisis, but when I hear thunder, I don't know. I panic. I thought being Cat Noir would make me more brave, but when the sky screams, I'm automatically brought back to being a child. The day He took in a singular sharp breath. The day my mother died. It was thundering that day too. And ever since then, I'm just so scared. He smoothed the blonde frank in front of his face to presumably hide his tears. Ladybug took his cocoa mug from his hands, placing it on the metal railing, embracing Cat Noir. As for the first time in possibly years, he let out his anguish and depression, his repressed feelings for his late mother, and this anxiety he held towards Thunder. Ladybug just held him. That's all she could do at that moment. He sunk to his knees and she followed suit, and his body shook as the sobs racked his body. Something he said stuck with Ladybug. Cat Noir screamed. Why did she leave me all alone? All alone? All alone. Ladybug assumed he must have had other family, but she didn't know who that was. Or did they not care about him? Were they neglectful? Was his mother the only person in the whole world who showed him love and kindness? Ladybug continued to hold him tightly until the sobs became slower and slower, and then stopped completely. She pressed her forehead to his, arms around his neck. That's when Ladybug knew that every moment of her life had destined her to be with him. Cat Noir would never be alone again. They would weather the storm together. Both young adults, completely drenched from the storm and the tears, solemnly stood.
I have a secret too,
Ladybug whispered, looking into his neon eyes that seemed to glow even brighter under the beautiful moonbeam from above. Yeah? His voice sounded hoarse from the tears, but it was nice that he also had a secret to share. Anything to avert the attention from him.
I'm in love with you. I always have been.
She took a step into him, looking up at the handsome face of her familiar partner. This is the person she would live and die for. He blinked a few times, unsure if he had heard her correctly, but then wrapped his arms around her waist. A small grin spread across his lips as he quietly spoke. For some reason, I'm not so scared anymore. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to go follow SailorGuardianHope on all of her socials, which are linked below. She is a miraculous person as well as creator. Please leave me a comment below telling me what you thought of this story and giving Hope all of the love. I will also leave a link in the description box of my collab with Hope, so be sure to check that out. And as always, stay miraculous!